Hello dear students. In our previous sessions or previous videos we were discussing the writing portion of your question paper, where we earlier discussed about writing formal letters. Second question in your exam comes of story writing, short story writing, most of the time with some given clues. The clues can be verbal or can be pictorial, means some image would be given. Mostly some verbal clues are given in this question, and this question carries 10 marks. Okay, in the writing portion, story writing or develop a short story, that comes for 10 marks. So today let's know about how to write the answer of this question. To start with the question of story writing, the students must be aware of its critical elements and how one can create a short but an impactful story within 150 to 200 words. Remember, you have word limit of 150 to 200 words. To attempt the question of the story, the student must mix their imagination with eye-catching words, attractive words. Now, this article will tell you about how to write a good story. So the key points for this answer: first of all, have a plot. One cannot just start writing a story. You should have a clear plot in your mind. Plot means the overall story. The whole of the story is its plot. How you develop your story, how you express your story, the whole is the plot. The number of characters and their type. Here we have a golden rule for the number of characters, that is, the few is the better. Means you should have as few characters as possible in your story. There should not be too many characters. Then setting of the story. There must be a proper setting. Setting means the time and the place where you set your story. That is the setting of the story. Then the theme. Theme is very important to write a story, and a best theme is that theme which relates to the maximum number of audience. That will be attractive theme. Conflicts should be less but must be intense. Sometimes you show some conflicts in ideas, conflicts in facts given in the story. Conflicts means the struggle or some problematic situations, those you show, those must be less but must be very effective. And at last, remember the word limit. So 100 to 200, 150 to 200 words you have to write. So keep your story simple and short. Now if you talk about the format part of the story while attempting the question of story, how you write in the correct format. First of all comes the title. So keep the title of your story eye-catching, very attractive. Once somebody looks at the title, it must be attractive, it must appeal the person reading. Make sure that your story revolves around that title only. Then you start with the introductory paragraph, intro para. The beginning of the story catches the utmost attention of the readers. So make sure you use a catchy line, attractive line while introducing the story. You can also take help from the lines given in the question paper and make a sort of story out of it. For example, you can use phrases like once upon a time or there used to be, like that. Depends upon the question. Then when you developing your plot, the plot actually means your whole story. So make sure your plot is well developed, well based on your title. Then introduction of your characters must be good. Make sure that you include worthy characters in the story. The character must be included in such a way that they enhance and give meaning to your story. They must support your story very well. Then at last, conclusion. The best way to conclude your story is to end it with a moral. In this way, the reader will get impacted by your story. Sometimes open ending also leaves an impact on the reader's mind. Open ending means you leave the end of the story open for the readers to think about it, what would happen after that. So many questions can come, so many ideas the readers can have of themselves about the story. That is open ending. Sometimes it can also be done. So it is totally on you how you conclude your story. So this is the format of writing a story. Now, one important point here, difference between an essay and a short story, because many a time it is confused. These are confused with one another, an essay and short story. These are two totally different pieces of writing. Okay, so essay is the simplest form of writing, wherein there is introduction, body, and conclusion regarding a particular topic. Some factual information is presented in any essay. In the story, it is any incident or an action which is taking place around, and characters and a story is built out of it. In the story, the characters and plot are the most important elements. So at last, there are some points which you should be aware when you write the story, like less characters. I earlier also told, introduce less but impactful, effective characters. Catchy first line. First line of your story must catch the whole attention of the reader. As the age old phrase states, first impression is the last impression. So first line must be very effective line that can hold your, that can arouse the curiosity in your readers. That type of line you should use. Moral of the story, if possible, include the moral of the story to create an impact. Your story must be short and crisp. Try to keep your story short, crisp, and to the point. Avoid using many characters. Simple language. While presenting your story, your language must be simple. Make sure to use simple words so that most of the readers can understand your story. And at last, the story must have a flow. It must flow with a proper ordering of thoughts. The story must have a proper flow. The sentences must be interconnected. The incidents happening must come in a proper sequence and order. That type of flow it must have. So this is how we can write a good and effective story and score good marks. Okay, so let me show you an example of story also. This example of story writing I am going to show you, and I will be sending these so that you go through them in detail. Like this question came in 2019 board exams. Write a short story in 200 to 250 words with the help of these clues given. Some clues are given. You have to develop the story. Now you can see how the story is written with the proper format and proper title given. Okay, so you will go through this, you will read this out and also note down it in your notebooks. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you.